Hey everybody, just a quick reminder, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a good review, and just interact with us here at Spirit Pop. It really does help us grow the Spirit Pop community. Brian, I have so many things that I want to talk to you about today. Well, actually, I only have 2 things, so I did overstate that. I have 2 things that I want to talk to you about today in our Metaphysical Corner. The first being your crystal. The second being my crystal. Me. Because, of course, we have talked about crystals before. And I do want to give everybody the heads up. We're going to talk about crystals again. Because for me, crystals aren't just some new agey, oh my God, I love crystals. Crystals are actually powerful spiritual partners. They're conduits and they're amplifiers. So we're going to be talking about it in the future. But today, what we wanted to do in the Metaphysical Corner is talk about a couple of crystals that are very important to us, starting with you and your new crystal. Tell us about it.
I got a new crystal. It's Moldavite, which is a tektite. A meteor crash landed on Earth a long time ago. And when it crashed, it mixed with the sand and it spread all across Europe and created these.
Moldavite. You're so funny.
Moldavite.
Whenever you hear a theremin, you go right back to Dark Shadows. We're like, okay, scene, and you're on.
I can't help it. I swear the spirit of Grayson Hall, who played Dr. Julie Hoffman and many others on Dark Shadows, I inhabit that. She inhabits my body because
you're a channel.
That's where I go. So yes, so this is Moldavite, and as I said, it's a tektite, and I told you how it was created. It is what some call the Holy Grail stone because it is such a high vibration stone, tektite, whatever you want to call it. It's a stone of transformation, right? It's good for, from my understanding and the research I've done, for your crown, your third eye, and your heart chakra. And I must say that it helps with spiritual awakening and transformation and healing. And it's so overwhelming, though, I must tell you. So I got it, and when I opened it, I held it for a moment. I could just feel it's a tiny little. I mean, you see this? This is a very tiny little piece.
Well, and I have mine too in this little bit of oil. Well, I don't know if people can see it, but that little black speck on the bottom, that's my Moldavite.
So it was sitting in my kitchen on the island, and I was in the great room, and I could feel it. It felt like there was a person, a presence in my home. And when I would look over that way, I knew that's where it was coming from. It was coming from that. And when I held it in my hand tingled, my hand felt heavy, not in a bad way. It's such a high vibrational stone that I was just, wow. I held it a lot. I wanted to kind of try to vibe with it and sort of join with it. And that night, I put it next to my bed. I started out with sleep. I had it in my hand when I was laying there. And then I'm like, I'm going to fall asleep. It's going to fall out of my hand. Let me put it in its little box. That night I had the most crazy making dreams. I felt like I crossed many different dimensions. And it was interacting with people in those dimensions. And one particular place, there were people that were there that were telling me that they weren't supposed to be there. They were from here. They just got lost through a portal and couldn't find their way back. Ooh. And it was very overwhelming. I was kind of in and out of this conscious state, and I just kept traveling, and I couldn't get back to those people. I was just so overwhelmed from the energy of this stone that I didn't even know how to navigate back to try to help them maybe come forward. It was all crazy making. It was wild. But I have to tell you, yesterday I did a meditation with the Moldavite, and it was a whole timeline healing from womb to adulthood. Wow. And it was the most powerful moment in my day. I saged my entire house to really, raise the vibration, and I sat and did this meditation. It was just so amazing. I cannot recommend Moldavite enough, but I must say, warning, disclaimer,
yes.
It is so powerful. You have to be ready for it. I would suggest doing a lot of research on it before you get it and start working with it, because if you are not prepared mentally, spiritually, emotionally, because I'll tell you, at the end of that meditation that I did, I was a little weepy. I was in gratitude for what was happening, but it was a lot. So you really have to be very, very prepared. But
Didn't
wow.
you say you also put it on the top of your head?
Oh yeah, I put it on top of my head, and I felt pops. Just constant popping, like my crown chakra was just exploding with goodness. I mean, it's very positive, but you have to be ready for it, because this is a stone that will bring change into your life, whether you've asked for it or not, because that's how powerful it is. So you have to be prepared, and you have to know what's coming. Obviously, you have to be willing and all of that, but it's coming for you. So be prepared. But wow. What a beautiful, powerful stone, and I am so thankful to have it.
The one key word that I would associate with Moldavite is aliens. The second key word that I would associate is interdimensionality, because it really is a different feeling, and it's a green stone. So for me, green stones are always about healing, and I know that you can work with Moldavite with the earth chakra for the transcendence and the uplifting of consciousness and humanity, but you can also use it for the healing of the heart chakra and the healing of the body. But it is more than your standard kind of green crystal. It's got a little zhuzhy interdimensional sexiness to it that is really, really powerful. The first time I ever brought Moldavite home, like, I couldn't sleep. I didn't feel rested. I felt agitated in my spirit, and I didn't really know why. Like, not anxiety per se, but just like, oh, things are bouncing around in my energy and in my field, like activating. And maybe the popping in your head is a little bit of stuff just clearing out and things getting amplified and activated. And that's what Moldavite does. It really does. I think it grids you out for you to kind of hit another level. But not necessarily in the angel warm teddy bear way, but like, oh, interdimensional, Arcturians, Pleiades, six-dimensional sacred geometry, like that kind of thing.
It's wild. I'll tell you, going wherever that trip was between all the whatevers, it was wild. And that I was not prepared for. I didn't think that would happen.
I tried to tell you.
Well, I knew things would happen, but I felt like I was grounded enough before I went to bed that night that it'd be okay. I think it was just a little too close to my bed, but I don't regret it. Though I now have been fixated on these 3 people that I came in contact with, because it freaks me out if that was legit and they're telling me that they were from here but somehow got into a portal and got stuck and can't get back. I crossed by them and apparently there was nothing I could do. That kind of freaks me out a little bit, because I just want to help everybody.
Well, just go into a meditation, call them forward, or create a symbol for each one, call them forward, and then bring them back, anchor them into this reality or into this dimension, or cross them, or whatever it is that you think you want to do. But you can do that in a follow-up meditation and help them. Well, the crystal.
What about you?
Yeah, the crystal. Well, hold on a second, because I have to get it. It's so big. Hold on 1 second.
I mean,
I can't hear you.
First of all, let me just explain that
I can see that you're talking some crap.
I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you because you, of course, have to do it bigger and better than mine. You are totally Faye Dunaway as Joan Crawford and Mommy Dearest. Well, I will always win because I am bigger and faster. That is one of the most beautiful crystals I have ever seen. Next to you, because you're the most beautiful crystal I've ever seen. But that is gorgeous. I don't know what to do about it.
Well, look, this crystal was actually gifted to me by my really handsome husband, Jeremy. And I want to kind of show it on the camera. Like, there's like all kinds of, you can't really see. Oh, there's just so many. There's record keepers. There's all kinds of interesting striations. But anyway, this is a smoky quartz. And smoky quartz, this is a very large smoky quartz. And you can get little smoky quartz. I want. I want to say, and I don't like to usually talk about money because who cares? But I was gobsmacked when he told me how much he paid for this, because it was $2,000 to $3,000 for this crystal for my Christmas present. And I'm like, first of all, I tell all of my students and everybody, don't let anybody give you a crystal. Usually, like, I want to go to the crystal shop and I want to touch them and I want to talk to them. I'm that weird lady going, I want to like having a conversation with the crystal.
Absolutely.
Because I want to calibrate. I want to know if you want to come home with me. But the only person who has ever really gifted me crystals that make a difference in my life is my husband and a couple of people from the Bliss Retreat. And this is one of them. My husband has also gifted me some Lemurian crystal pieces that are really large that help me to channel. They're magnificent. This is for another conversation. Now, Smoky Quartz is particularly good for stuff. And what I mean by that is the stuff that you carry around inside of yourself, your patterns, your limiting beliefs, your notions of self, things that you believe about people, the world, yourself that cause you to end up imbalanced. Like all of the things that we have, our stuff, our psychological detritus that we house within our actual physical body, like that stuff lives inside of us. That's our stuff. And with your Smoky Quartz, if you're finally at the place in your life where you want to clear some of these patterns, because let me tell you something, Brian, if you want spirit to come into your life in a more evidential way, like in a way that has evidences and signs that you can see and work with, then spirit needs space inside of you.
Yeah.
Spirit needs space inside of your consciousness. And if all of your space is taken up by all of your stuff, then spirit really doesn't have a place to house itself. So working on your psychological stuff is key to enlightenment and spiritual development. And working with a Smoky Quartz helps you to kind of jostle your patterns that are lodged inside of you, bring them up to the surface and release them. And I'll tell you how to work with a Smoky Quartz. Makes it really easy. Take your quartz. Of course, it doesn't have to be a chonker like this. This is
show
Leo.
off.
I know, Leo's a show off. And speaking of like being agitated in my spirit when he came home, I'll talk about that in a moment. But it doesn't have to be as big as Leo here. It can be a little small point. It's still powerful. Get your Smoky Quartz. Take it outside. Take your shoes off. Get your feet in the grass and point the point towards the ground. And point the other side, the flat or whatever you would call this, at yourself, at your field. Maybe around the heart is where I put it, the heart chakra. And then what you want to do is go through some kind of a prayer or a ritual where you acknowledge the things that you're conscious to, that you're ready to release, these limiting beliefs about self and others, or any of your behaviors and your addictions that no longer serve. Like whatever you're conscious to, articulate that and release that. And also add into this little prayer whatever you're not conscious to, because a lot of us are animated by things that we're not even aware that we house within us. So ask spirit to shine a light on that and deal with that. And then actually feel the energy as the pattern moves up and through and out of you. And the Smoky Quartz facilitates this. It actually travels through the quartz and right into the ground. And of course, the energy of Gaia knows how to compost all of this energy and utilize it back and return it to the universe. But it just helps facilitate the process of release. And so this has been such a partner for me just in my personal development, my ability to love myself or to get real with myself and be authentic. A Smoky Quartz is a game changer. And this guy right here is doubly so because he's so handsome. Now, I'll tell you, I got this guy for Christmas. I was like, $3,000, why? You know, I was like all caught up in the money. Like, why would you do that? Why didn't you just get me like a Cuisinart something? But I opened my heart to it and I brought it into the bedroom with me. And I put it right between me and Jeremy. I slept in my bed with it and I touched it a lot and I calibrated to it. I did that for a couple of nights and then I moved it over to my dresser and I left it there on my dresser, but I could not sleep. When I tell you Leo was waking me up all night, well, what about this? Or this dream, which reminds me of this thing that I've got to clear, or just agitating, and not in a negative way, but just stirring my spirit all the time. I had to move him out of my bedroom and into my office. And he now has a place of prominence on my little wall unit back here. But that's how powerful this crystal is. And that's how powerful crystals can be. So if I've got to work an issue internally, I grab Leo, I go outside, and I return it to the earth. And boom, so it is. I love crystals. And again, I do think they're so much more than just new age, hocus pocus. They make a difference, especially if you take the time to get to know them and calibrate or match up your energy to the work that they do, because crystals come to you with their own pattern of energy and they're expressing it. So not all crystals want to come home with you because they're not a match for what you're doing in your life. But some crystals absolutely are. So go out and find you a crystal.